Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. This has been a big week. I know it's been a big week for many of you. I am holding a special tray. Happy May Day. Happy National Day of Prayer. It's been such a beautiful week. We've had sunshine. Today we have cozy rain. Well, if you haven't gotten your tea yet, please get your tea and I'll be waiting for you. I've chosen a cherry yellow cup, and the set I have is very unique. It is called Chrome, and it was made in the last century. It is a lovely set that my grandchildren play with because they can't hurt it and they can't be hurt by it. It's very lightweight. It's almost like just picking up a feather. And they made a lot of these in England. People wanted a nice silver set and they maybe couldn't afford silver. So they would make this. And now they've become really collector's item because they aren't making them anymore. We're listening to Mozart today by total default. I wanted to play Johann Sebastian Bach. I was playing the Mass in B minor, and then suddenly my phone went off and it's too full, couldn't do it. So this is a new experiment tonight. I am recording on my iPad, which I've never done. I generally record on my iPhone and then upload the video. Well, my phone is too full. Have you ever had that problem? And I do not know how to clear it. I tried clearing a lot of videos and photos, but it's still full, so we will have to see what happens. Well, here is your treat, and they are absolutely gorgeous. They're called fudge bars, homemade. I went to my little children's hospital thrift, and the ladies of the guild were selling these, so I bought them for our Sunday dinner tomorrow. And aren't they gorgeous? I'm serving them on a little silver tray. Well, have you had a good week? I've had a wonderful week. It really has been wonderful. This last week, as I told you, was National Day of Prayer. And we had the gathering in the rotunda. And it was spectacular. It was wonderful. We had a 70-voice Russian, Ukrainian, Baltic, Slavic choir. They are all those different countries coming together, and they sing in harmony and love. You know, across the world there's a war, but here there's love and harmony. Singing beautiful songs. They opened with Amazing Grace, then they sang How Great Thou Art, and then It Is Well With My Soul. And they were in the upper balcony of the rotunda, if you've been in there, the very top balcony where there's gold around. And oh, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. And then we had an orchestra directed by Sir Kenneth James Overman, the great, true. How he pulled it together is beyond any of us, because he was pulling, there's 3 different marbles in our capital. One is from Italian marble, one is German marble. I think actually there's some French marble and then some Washington State marble. Beautiful, but it's like a cathedral without anything subduing it. So it is just so exposed, so open, so reverberating. You have to speak slowly or your words are muffled. Well, Ken had the orchestra, violins, cellos, 2 cellos, I think 4 violins, and a string bass. And then we had a children's choir sing the first verse to the national anthem, to America the Beautiful, My Country 'Tis of Thee. And then a beautiful girl from the Slavic choir named Victoria, a young girl, sang the national anthem. And everyone in my family said that is the most beautiful rendition of the national anthem. It was absolutely so pure, so clean, so just a glow of the beauty of the words. And this choir is actually 150 voices, but they brought 70 people on 2 buses. And then we had prayers from our wonderful local Anglican Father Joe from New Hope Anglican opened, read Psalm 66 responsively. Then 2 of the Russian pastors opened with prayers of repentance, confession, and for the church. And then it went on with, we had prayers for education, we had prayers for the human trafficking and the homeless and the marginalized people. We had a beautiful medical doctor praying for life and the unborn and the elderly and to save life and keep life. And then we had beautiful Asian Chinese woman blow the shofar and prayed for Israel and the Middle East and for peace. And then another wonderful Chinese Asian lady that heads up a ministry of human trafficking into the prisoners in our state called Compassion Washington. Beautiful ministry. Then we had a young man, soccer, my nephew Elliot prayed for the youth, that the youth would be protected in our country and in our state and be blessed. Then we had the headmaster from Life Christian Academy, Ross Halstead, pray for education. We tried to cover all the bases, and then my wonderful Kenyans came and they sang a beautiful prayer in Swahili, and that was so sweet. And the bishop prayed. Oh, and then Red Ruth prayed. She is the editor of Stand. She prayed for media and for the healing of the media, that we would have truth and we would have goodness and some good news. The Tea Talk, we are dedicated to good news. And some of my most special Tea Talk people, the Padilla family was right there. I spotted them. They came and were so beautiful, and they've been part of this Tea Talk from the very beginning. Yes. And there were so many different people coming from different areas. Oh, and then we had a congresswoman, Linda Smith. She prayed for the leadership, for the president, for the governors, for the legislators here and in Washington, D.C. and across America. We tried to cover all the bases, and I hope we did. And then we covered the Asia part of the world with these wonderful Chinese women that prayed. And then we covered Africa with the Swahilis. We covered all the Baltic, Russia, Ukraine, Poland, the different Baltic countries were covered in the choir. Yes. And we also remember South America. We want to cover all the continents. You know, this is my little world that I wear. It's a gold world. It's a globe. And it has every continent written. Antarctica, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Europe, almost all of them begin with A. And I love this. I always wear this when I teach, because when I teach my Kenyans, I know that they are going back to other countries, some to Africa, some to other countries. And so through them, I'm going around the world. I'm not really thinking of travel right now myself, but through them, I can travel. Yes. Oh my. Then we had the most beautiful, darling girl, Anna Ruth, play her violin. She played the Lord's Prayer a cappella in that dome. It went right up to the top of the dome. So beautiful. And then everyone joined and sang. And we did congregationally with the orchestra. The whole Overman family was there. They're just so dedicated. They're like frontline Marines with their music. They take their music everywhere. They play wherever they are invited. And they're very highly skilled and very loving, gentle people. So they played for all of the hymns. The patriotic hymns. We like to sing the patriotic hymns. My country, 'tis of thee, such beautiful words. America the beautiful, such beautiful words. And we also ended with the Battle Hymn of the Republic, but we had to get out of there quick. It always goes longer, doesn't it? Yes. And we tried to keep it short, but there's just so much going on. And the little children were so sweet. They, like I said, sang the first verse of America the Beautiful. In the past, in years past, I directed children's choirs, and I used to bring my children's choir. And so next year, we're going to try to get more children involved. We didn't have a very long period of time to plan this event. So that is why we had to just move fast, but it was quite amazing how it all came together. And we also had Elliot. My nephew, prayed for sports. He is a professional soccer player that now has his soccer. He has a business, and it's training and doing soccer camps and soccer training of young people. Really wonderful. You know, our state is so beautiful. Our capital is so beautiful. The grounds in May, there's the rhododendrons and all the azaleas in bloom. It was the most beautiful sunny day. It just couldn't have been better. It really couldn't have. There were other events all over our state, all over America, and up into Canada. And many had I know my friend Kathy went down to Aberdeen, and they had a mayor's prayer where all the mayors from all the different Grays Harbor communities came, and then everybody was invited also, but they led it, the mayors led it. And National Day of Prayer is just so positive, it's so inclusive, it's so eclectic. It involves all people that love God and want to come together and pray. It's happy. It's a happy day. It's a holiday, and it was given to us originally from George Washington. And then Abraham Lincoln, he reenacted it. Ronald Reagan reenacted it, and every president since. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so if you didn't participate this year, put it on your calendar. Next year, it's going to be May 1st. It is always the first Thursday in May. And so that's how they do it. And my daughter, Victoria, our oldest daughter, years ago, the first one we did in the Rotunda, she was about 14, and she gave the most brilliant speech. And I want to find it. I asked her, do you still have that, Victoria? Well, no, she doesn't. She's married with kids and lives in Arizona, but I had that speech in my guitar case. And then I lost my guitar case, and I don't know where I lost it. It could have been at a National Day of Prayer event, because You know, you're playing your guitar, singing, everybody's helping you take everything out. Anyway, that guitar case disappeared and I can never found it. And I lost her speech, but I'm still hoping that I have another copy somewhere. And what she did was combine George Washington's parts of his farewell address and then different quotes from the founding fathers. She wove it together in a most outstanding way. And I love the quotes. And so that's something that you can do. And you can be a part. If you, everybody, I try to involve literally as many people as I can in our National Day of Prayer. Whatever your gift, talent is, bring it. And whether it's playing an instrument, singing a song, helping pass out literature, to advertise or whatever. We had wonderful Scott Manley came and he recorded it, and we haven't gotten that yet, but he brought the keyboard. And then Katya, the director of the Russian, Ukrainian, Slavic choir, played the keyboard so beautifully. Everything just came together. Everything worked. And I just want to give thanks to God, because it is only Him that can do something like that. Truly, only Him. And a beautiful thing that the shofar player, the Christina did, she blew, you know, the rotunda is round, but it's square. East, it has an east, west, north, south entrance. So she blew the shofar to the east, then she blew it to the north, then to the east, then to the west. And then when Father Joe gave the benediction, he divided up the Aaronic blessing into 4 parts, and he gave it to the east. The Lord bless thee and keep thee, make his face shine upon thee, turn and give thee peace, turn, turn, turn. So he gave it all, because we had people on all 4 levels, all 4 balconies. The choir was at the top, then there's another balcony where there's 4 sides. Then there's the floor where the orchestra, the speakers, the podium, and then there's steps going up that a lot of people sat on. So it's a big building. It can accommodate a lot of people and not feel crowded. It's really a wonderful building in our state. Well, I just wanted to check in with you and tell you about this and say happy May Day. And I hope that you gave some flowers to someone. I have a darling bouquet here. I'll show you my little bouquet of flowers that I have. It's a posy. See, it's a little May Day posy, and it has a variety of May Day flowers. It's a very old vintage vase, but it's a posy. Do you remember as children, we used to make little posies, maybe in a cone, and go to the neighbors, put them on the door and knock and run away. And then it was so wonderful. They would come and be so surprised, wouldn't they? I remember we had a very elderly lady living next to us, and she was so happy that we had brought her flowers. Yes, she was a sweet lady. She used to have us go to the store. We had a little grocery store in those days in our neighborhood, and she would give us the money and have a little list, and we'd go to the store, pick it up, bring it back, and she'd give us a nickel. You know, I remember this. Wow. Her name was Mrs. Macbeth. And that's my earliest childhood memory, is that house. I remember robins in the spring, the church bell ringing. We had a little church at the end of our street, that the little top church, little white church, just darling, that overlooked the whole bay and mountains because it was on the top of the hill. And oh my, and I remember the little blue, my first memory of flowers is the little bluebells. I love the little bluebells in the spring, and they are out too. This tea is delicious. I'm going to tell you, it is caffeine-free, black Murchie's Empress tea, and it's delicious. It tastes great, but it's not going to keep me awake because it's very late right now. Well, I wanted to show you, I brought something to show you. I thought my tea people would love this. This is a little hammer. It's a real hammer. It's a baby hammer. It's so small. It was my grandfather's from Norway, and it's one of the few things I have from him. But somehow it survived and kept getting passed down. And do you know, I use this little hammer to hammer little nails in my wall. It's so well made. It's just the very simple wood and the heavy steel hammer. And I was using it today, and I thought, it looks like a toy. People can't believe it, but my son used it when he was putting in some very fine trim at his brother's house. He said, well, let's try that little hammer, and it worked perfect. It's extremely strong, even though it is so little. It just, amazing. I have it sitting, I have my pens and a few screwdrivers in a jar that I keep on my kitchen shelf, and I put that in there. So, well, this is a unique thing. We're going to see what this comes out like. This is on an iPad, and I don't have quite the light I usually have, but we're doing our best. And that's what I wanted to conclude with. We've talked this month a lot about one step at a time. Remember? One step at a time. Well, I tell you, I think my conclusion is I am so grateful that everyone we asked to participate, I had so many people say, I'd love to.